It's Sunday morning, bright and early. There's beautiful sunshine, and today I'm leaving Baltimore. The sails are up and off we go. Well, the forecast wind hasn't materialised yet, so we're motoring. We're allowed to motor now. The event's over. After a bit I expect this big swell will die down and the wind will pick up. That's the plan. Okay, it's now 11 o'clock on Sunday, and we're actually starting to move quite well. It was very slow at first, and I had to use the motor really because there was just a big sea running and nothing happening. Unfortunately, the electric tiller pilot is packed up because it got wet, and so when I'm using the motor I'm having to steer by hand. So that is a very good incentive for not using the motor any more than I absolutely have to. So yeah, now we're heading east, heading away from Ireland, back home, and going downwind. Here I am, cooking as usual, just rescuing food from down the back of the swimming bed there. Tomato, halloumi, egg, fried bread. Not too bad, eh? Toss. I can stop the plate from moving around on the shelf because Sally's given me some very nice kind of sticky rubber, but it doesn't stop the fried bread from sliding around on the plate. This is my worst addiction, ketchup. Not many people have ketchup on tomatoes, but that just shows you the depth of my addiction. A bit of pepper on the top. Okay. Buon appetito! Very good. We're sailing downwind. I love sailing like this, it's very good. One of my favourites. Feels like crossing the Atlantic from the Canaries. We've got a strong wind coming from behind. Both sails hanging out on their own sides. Following swell. Fabulous. 15 knots of wind. Apparent, that probably means it's more like about 20 knots really, because we're going through the water at, well, what have we got there? Nearly 6 knots. So yeah, that makes nearly 20 knots of wind. So we're making very, very good progress. Cool. We're still heading east, and it's very windy. We've got, we see that, 21 knots, well actually more than that. We've got it varying between 16 and 25 knots of apparent wind, and as we're travelling at about 6 knots, that means that we've got perhaps 30 knots of wind, which is lots. Put a reef in the mainsail. We haven't got much of the foresail out, and we're bumming along. Certainly are covering some miles. I think this wind is going to last until about 9 o'clock midnight tonight. Then it's going to start letting off and we're going to be slowing down. So we'll try and make the most of this rather exciting ride. And if it gets much stronger, I might have to put another reef in the main. Okay, here's a tip. When you're on a moving boat in the sea like this, everything moves around. As you can see, the cooker's moving around. I'm just going to make some tea. The tip is, when you're pouring something on a boat, always try and pour it along the line of the boat. Don't go across, go along. It's easier. So let's see if we can get the tea in the teapot. So I'm pouring it from forward from the stern, if you like. And it's in. Don't forget the tea cozy. And then when it comes to pouring the tea into the cup, same thing applies. Get it along the line of the boat. Pour it. There we go. Nice and easy, cheers. Okay, the wind's been getting up more and more, and it's now super strong by my reckoning, and we were kind of steering around all over the place. The steering gear wasn't keeping up. We were whizzing around 30 degrees either side of where we wanted to go all the time. So I decided to take another reef in. Managed to do that, but in the process the mast gate has come loose and it's fallen down, so a couple of the slugs have fallen out of the mast at the bottom, but that doesn't matter now as long as we've got the reefs in. I'll just have to sort that out when we get the sail back up again. And with 2 reefs in, we're still going pretty fast, well, nearly 5 knots, which feels fast enough at the moment. So I've left the Genoa fold up altogether, so we're just bombing along in heaven knows what, 25-30 knots of wind, with the 2 reefs in the main and nothing else. So that should keep us, hopefully that'll keep us going till about midnight when it calms down a bit. Here's the arrangement. Tiny little mainsail, nothing else. Well, alright. There's a foot of the Genoa, but that's just because I haven't rolled it up properly. And the waves are going by. busy Sunday afternoon at the sea. Well, it just goes to show how much the sea can change, doesn't it? Yesterday it was too windy. It had all the reefs in, but it was going like a bomb. Almost scary. Now today it has gone the other way. Hardly anything happening. 2 knots, 5 knots of wind and 2 knots of headway. Dolphins playing at the back. Morning, dolphins. I don't know if you can see them underwater. There's some really big dolphins down there. There must be 6 or 8 of them, or perhaps more. I can see them fine. I hope you can see them underwater. It's fascinating watching them swimming. Luckily these aren't the naughty boys that attack your rudder. These are just nice friendly Irish sea dolphins. Not orcas today. So there we are. Bit of a different day. I did over 100 miles yesterday and I'll probably be lucky to do 50 today. Still good being in a hurry on a boat, is it? It's late, it's 11 o'clock PM. I've just got into Dale in Pembrokeshire. I was going to go to Tenby, but this afternoon's been no wind, really. It's been very disappointing. So I drifted around, slattering around with the sails, and eventually decided to motor into Dale. And I had to hand steer because my electric steering gear has failed, like they do. It got some water in it and it went, nope, I'm not having that, not playing with water. So here I am, 11 o'clock, having a safe passage drink before bed. Well, good morning. Now headed up the Bristol Channel, and last night spent the night in Swansea at the anchorage just off the Mumbles, which was fine actually. We were actually anchored about at least half a mile offshore because there's a huge great mud flats that go on forever. So that was fine. It was quite windy, but it was okay, we didn't move. And then this morning we battled down out of Swansea Bay, heading due south, until we got around some nasty shoals which are called, what was it called? Changing depths. No, wait a minute. West Scar. So we snuck round West Scar and now we've borne away a bit and we're heading down past Bridgend and so forth. And in a hour or two the tide will start going with us, which should be nice, because at the moment we're only doing 4.9 knots. But it's a bit miserable. It's wet, windy, misty, and there we are. And of course now we have the first mate on board who is still acclimatising to the motion, I think. Yeah, hello, and here we are back in Cardiff after a somewhat lively trip up from Swansea. The forecast promised us about 20 knots of wind, and the first part where we sailed down south from Swansea towards the Bristol Channel, it was hard on the wind and it was pretty bouncy, but then when we got out and turned round, we started going fine, and then suddenly the wind went away, and so I said a lot of naughty words, and I thought, well, we're just not going to get to Swansea, to Cardiff at all, unless something happens. So of course eventually the engine went on, and 10 minutes after that the wind came back with a vengeance, and we were skimming along at up to 10 knots.
The wings out.
The wings were out, and arrived into Cardiff Bay at about 3:15. So now it's time for what we call a safe passage, which is you have to have a little drink to celebrate a safe arrival.
Oh, that's enormous.
This is a tiny one.
That's not what I gave you last night.
Oh, it's the same as what you've got. Cheers. Crew's not supposed to answer back, are they?
Sorry.
Thank you.